posted a video, a truck driver, I'm sorry, posted a video the other day about raising children. I think the headline, I think I posted it a few different places, and I got a few emails and with questions. And rather than go and try to answer every one of those emails while I'm trying to drive down the road here, I'm in Utah, going up to Ogden, Utah, on my way over here to Lewiston, Utah. So what I want to touch base on is some of the questions that were asked to me. And one of the things that was asked to me by a couple of, I have to go back and look at that video. I guess I didn't finish my thought. Sorry, it's about 3 in the morning. Guess I didn't finish my thought on one of the subjects I was bringing up. Is there are women that have children for the state, you know, they look at their welfare check and they know if they have another child, it's another $400 to $500 or whatever it is now. And some places it's not like that anymore. It's not like it was even in the 90s and early 2000s. You know, you get food stamps, you get cash assistance, sometimes you'll get rental assistance, sometimes you get Section 8, city housing, whatever, where you may only have to pay $30 a month. And there's also sometimes there's the oh gosh, I was trying to think. There's that. There's the help you with utilities sometimes. And there was another one I was trying to think of here. Not to mention health care for the child and for the mother. And there are women, and I've heard about this, and I didn't know what these guys are talking about, but there are women that would much rather have the state's help on raising that child, whether they're going to raise the child or whether they're just going to pocket the money and go to the club and give the child the bare minimum. Either one of those. But the mother would much rather have the state help them because the father is unreliable. Now, I know some of you fathers are going to be, that's not the case. I'm not talking about every father, no, as much as I'm not talking about every mother. I've known plenty of mothers that have used the state to get on their feet and go ahead and take off, and now they're successful. They've gone to college. They used it in the right way. My ex-wife was, I promoted her to use that to help me get them out of the hood, to help them get us into a better place. You know, I didn't just move into a Section 8 house and throw some sheets up. You know, it didn't take long for somebody to come along and tell that she had an ex-felon in the house and they got her kicked out of the program. Nevertheless, we did not move. We did not move. Okay? We did not. Some of these women, they get, what do you call that, child care for these children. So they may get a $2,000, what do you want to call it, an allowance up to $2,000 for daycare for these kids while they're out looking for jobs and whatever. All they have to do is take a sheet out, fill it out, and bring it back, show that they've been looking for the work. Whether they're actively really looking or not. Some are, some are not. So with all that said, they take that child care money, they'll take it to a particular daycare and say, look, I'm going to watch my own kids, split this money with me. So they'll get $1,000 and somebody else will get $1,000. And I'm not saying that that's happening still today, but I know a long time ago that was a hustle. And I know a lot about this because I've been involved with it. It's not that I'm judging anybody. I've been down that same road. I just chose to do some different things with those opportunities. Did I ride the program? I'm not going to lie to you. I did. Me and my wife at the time did. But I was out hustling. I was out trying to make things better. She was trying to make things better. It's one thing if you're trying to make things better and not necessarily reporting it. I mean, I don't know, that's between you, the Lord, and whatever. You know, a lot of taxpayers ain't gonna like that, you know, whatever. I had other things to worry about back in the day other than taxpayers. I was just trying to get an education, get myself out of the street, and get, you know, with 4 or 5 felony convictions, it was hard for me to get a job. I had to work my way through that, and I needed something to take a little pressure off the back end. Just like some of these mothers need that little pressure taken off the back end so they can get their mind right. Some of those mothers never do get their mind right and have no intention of doing so. They plan to play the system for what it's going to be. And if you can do it, as far as I'm concerned, more power to you. I mean, everybody's always complaining about the tax dollars and stuff, and I understand what you're saying, but if my tax dollars ain't paying for that, they're paying for something else. It's always going to be the same fucking tax amount, no matter what. You know, they'll find something else to put that money on so they can constantly demand it from me. So I don't care about the tax part of it. Maybe I'm not educated enough to know more about it. I don't have any education, GED, nothing. So you're not going to hurt my feelings if you get on here and put some comments about how stupid I am. I'm right with you. I don't give a fuck, as far as that goes. I mean, you're not going to hurt my feelings with that. I've been through way worse things than that. So, back to what I was saying, is that there are women that the dads don't stick around. Hell, the dad will tell you in some cases, no, I don't give a fuck about that child. I don't give a fuck about that woman. There's some cases that a father does care about the child, but ain't even figured out how to get his own self through the system that's out here, whether he's been convicted of a felony and can't get a job just like I was. Hell, for the longest, it took me forever to get caught up on my child support. Forever. I finally did. But nowadays, they hit you over the head with it where it's almost unaccomplishable. You can't believe that you will ever accomplish that amount, of child support. And a lot of these women aren't applying that child support where they really should. Now, if I give my ex-wife $200 and she goes and gets her hair done and her nails done and all this shit, as long as she took her $200 and applied it to the child, then I owe her that. So if she wanted to do that with her money, then so be it. Should be a 50-50 deal, though. I'll just say that. And then there's a lot of cases the child support that we pay are not enough to raise that child, even if you're just paying for half. A couple $100 a month is not enough to raise that child. Okay? So we'll leave that where it stands. I don't want to get all off into that. But there has been a few times I've heard statements from females that, well, that's what a bitch get for having 6 kids. She knew what she was doing. She did that shit on purpose. Mind you, there are some that let me rephrase that. I know they do it on purpose. They tell me they did it on purpose. They tell me they're trying to get that money from the state. Them food stamps, state assistance, housing assistance. By having all them kids, they can have a bigger house, city housing, all that. But there are ones that really need it. And if you think everybody's in the same boat, you're crazy. They're not. There are plenty of women that are trying to get themselves together and need that assistance. Those women that had those extra kids, every one of those relationships meant something to that female. It may not have meant nothing to that man. She may have made a mistake. She may have fallen in love with him and believed that they were starting a family, and she wanted to give him a kid. And there are men that will tell a woman, it's okay, I ain't got no rubber, I'll take care of a kid, all that. But it never happens. There are some that get married, have 2 kids with you, and in about 2 years they divorce. What about them circumstances? That wasn't the woman's fault. She did everything she could. She married and everything. Shit still happens. So to sit there and judge every woman you see with 6 to 8 kids and say, 8 kids is a lot, don't get me wrong. 6 is a lot. But only the good Lord knows her circumstances, and who am I to judge it? Now, there are certain people that I can watch and the way they act and body language and whatever they do, especially if they live next door to me. I know what kind of person they are. You live next door to some people, maybe the same way. But to actually call it a fact, even though I say I know, I'll just say that's my best guess. Okay. Oh, wow. Anyway, there are people that, you know, have to do that. Then there's other comments of people say, well, you know, you're sitting there justifying people to be on, to sell drugs, and because I made a statement, some people may have to do certain things, or at least they think they have to do it at the time. They're blinded by everything else, and they actually might have to, what do you call it? Let me turn this off. I'm going to the scale house here. Sorry. They might have to, you know, make some decisions based on what they see and believe what their reality is. I robbed a couple of places. When I mean robbed, I don't mean burglary. I mean strong arm robbery. You know, a house and a business. I went in and made everybody lay on the floor. I'm not happy about it. I mean, I don't necessarily like to even talk about it sometimes, but I've been to the bottom. I've been to the very bottom, you know. So at the end of the day, there's not too much that's going to offend me in this world, because I've been to the very, very bottom. You know, I've had my girls out here selling pussy. I mean, I done had all of those things happen. I done lived in that lifestyle. You know, I've been married to a woman who used to sell pussy and got out there and hustled. And so when people go, oh my God, that's so disgusting, that's your life. You lived that. I lived something different. I came from something different. You're not going to easily offend me, you know, at all. I'm not going to be embarrassed. I survived the best way I can, and so did she. And at the end of the day, I've done been down that road. But at the same time, there comes a time in your life where you got to say, hey, let me do something different. Let me try something different. Let me get out of this hole and get out from in front of the system. Because once you get in that system, it's hard to get out. Let me tell you something. I've been to work release numerous times, community corrections, residential 3 times, and then I've been to the field services 4 or 5 times, probation, parole, prison, and I don't even want to tell you how many times I've been to jail. That is God dang, that is an endless amount of times I've been to jail. It's crazy. So what I'm telling you is that you got to start figuring different ways to beat the system, to get out. That crab in a bucket effect, you got to find a way to get a hold of that top of that bucket and pull yourself over the top. There are programs that you can get involved with if you ask. There are things that I didn't know that I didn't know, if that makes any sense. There are things that I didn't know that I didn't know. And I thought I knew about everything available, and I did not. And I didn't like to ask. I was embarrassed. I was ashamed. I guess I wasn't ashamed to rob nobody, I guess, but at the same time, I can say I was ashamed to ask for help. You know, I felt like me taking it forcibly was better than me admitting I needed help, and you know, and I was ashamed of that. Where if you take it forcibly, hey, I'm not ashamed of nothing. I'm here. I'm the man you got to deal with right now. I feel somewhat empowered at that moment. So I don't feel like I got to ask you or beg you. Instead, I tell you. You know, and you know, that was my thinking way back then when I was in my 20s. And there's a lot of young men that think that way today. They don't know the things that they don't know. If they knew about all the things that I know about now, they would take a step back before making a 10-second critical decision that's going to cause them not only prison, but it's going to cause them future hardship later on, that they're going to be right back here knocking on somebody's door and robbing somebody or selling dope the next time they get out of prison. Because every time they go, they get deeper and deeper and deeper. You know, it's like trying to fix a wound that you have, and you're actually infecting it more. You're making it worse every time you make an attempt, because you're not educated on how to treat that wound. So now, when you finally figure it out, it's so much work. It's almost like, do I cut my leg off here and just start over, or what do I do? And we're not reaching out to these young people enough to show them a way. Now, will all of them conform and change their life? No. There's some that are not. They've had a taste of it. They got nice cars. They got guns. They got power. They got, you know, somebody else wants that respect and comes to get it from them, they're always going to be a target. It's just who's going to step up and take it away, and they don't know that. In their mind, the more you try to tell them that that's going to happen, the more that they're going to shut down and rebel against you to prove you wrong. So it's kind of a catch-22. You got to hope that the Lord shines the light on them or something, and they figure something else out. I don't know. But what I can tell you is that those women that you see with them kids, they not every one of them women were looking for your tax dollars, as I hear people say. Yes, there are some that do. Yes. But there are a lot that don't. There are a lot that are trying to get their kids in a better place. And when you're lonely, okay, you are lonely raising 1 or 2 kids, having to go to work 2 jobs, dealing with different men picking at you every day and not knowing which one is the real one. And I mean, it's easy to sit there. It's easy to sit there and judge somebody else in hindsight and say, "Oh, man, that bitch is a hoe. She's stupid. She's this." It's easy to judge them after the fact. Okay, nobody's just gonna sit up there and want to be, a victim. Unless you're talking about some of those other ladies I was talking about earlier that know how to work the system. And not every woman knows how to even work that system like that. So not only are they not intending to, some of them don't even know how to do it. So at the end of the day, setting up here judging somebody instead of offering them help, I mean, you're telling me I'm fucking up, but you don't got an alternative. And a lot of those people that judge, most of them I believe that judge, have never even been in that situation in life. So they couldn't even tell you what to do because they live a whole other different life than you do. They don't know about getting up and going and getting payday loans to get milk and bread or shoes for your child or living in a neighborhood where tomorrow night a bullet gonna come through the window or the house been shot up a couple of times because it's the people keep shooting up the wrong house and ain't like you can stop them and tell them, hey, those people don't live here no more. You live in those type of neighborhoods. Look at Chicago, what they deal with, okay? And each one of them young men, well, not each one of them, but a lot of them feel that they're defending themselves but they're in a struggle for a piece of real estate that don't even belong to them for them to, sell dope on or whatever it is they do. And that is a whole other different video and a whole other different conversation. But what I can tell you is that those women live in that violent world. They live in that violent neighborhood. They walk up and down them streets. Their kids walk up and down them streets. Imagine every night just feeling lucky enough to get into the house. Imagine living in a neighborhood that on Saturday and Sunday you have to tell your kids to lay in the bathtub and you make the bed for them to lay inside the bathtub. I've seen that before. And it's crazy. Or the power's not on and you got to run an extension cord from your neighbor's apartment to yours and ask them to help you until you can get the money to pay the electricity, even though you're working 2 jobs. So sit up and judge somebody is not the way, and I don't want anybody to feel that what I'm doing is judging anybody. What I'm trying to tell you is there are opportunities and ways and programs that you can try to go out and talk to. And I may not know your particular city or location or whatever, but you've got to start asking around. Now, some of you have, and some of you have exhausted those programs and you can't get in them. All I can tell you is that you got to keep your head up because the alternative is what? Death. That's it. That's all the alternative really is. It's either death or prison. And it's a shame that this is the society we live in, and we spend all this money sending it over to other countries to help them with buying bullets and planes and whatever the fuck else we need help them with, even helping other countries with food, when we have this scenario going on here in the United States that needs to be addressed. We're so busy butting our nose in everybody else's business that we're not even really taking care of all the people here. And some people will say, well, those people don't want to accept help anyway. Those people may not even know they need help. They may not see that problem that the rest of us see. You know, I used to have a very bad anger problem. I never saw that. And when I started looking back on it later and seeing videos of me in it doing certain things, I looked at it from a different view. Now I saw what everybody else is looking at. There are things that we don't know that we don't know. Sometimes we got to step back and find a way to take a look at ourselves and see. And some of us are strong enough to do that, and some of us are not. So when a person tells you, I don't want help, or they run away, they don't have any hope, you know, because of things they may have been through that you don't know nothing about. Here again, until you've been through that, it is really hard for you to understand. It's like me telling you what it's like to skydive and you ain't never skydived. You know, I can only tell you. And it's so easy for you to judge me on what I should do when it comes time for me to pull my parachute. That's all I'm saying.